Morning. Today we're going to kick off Let's Move May. So this is a month at St. Bart's that's dedicated to shaking things up and getting moving. We're shaking off the slumber of winter and glorifying our risen Lord with movement and self-care. As Father Joel mentioned, you can find the calendar of events happening during Let's Move May in the e-news, and be assured that our St. Bart's 4th annual Super Sprint Triathlon is officially on for Saturday, August 2nd. Today, I just wanted to go through some health tips, kind of give us some things to think about this month, talk about some goal setting, and in doing so, I wanted to draw on some letters from Paul to the Corinthians. There's some verses that we used to teach the littles in Catechesis of the Good Shepherd, and I think it's good for all of us to think about. Paul tells us that we have an obligation in our relationship with God to care for ourselves and our body when he says in chapter 6, verse 19, "Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, which you have from God, and that you are not your own? For you were bought with a price, and therefore glorify God in your body." So if you're wondering how to best care for yourself, here's some suggestions. In the spirit of Let's Move May, you can start with exercise. Dr. Coffey talked a lot the last couple of years about cardiovascular health, and exercise is a great way to work on your cardiovascular health. Post-pandemic studies have shown that just 75 minutes of vigorous exercise per week or 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week, so 20 to 30 minutes a day, can actually decrease the likelihood of hospitalization due to any infection, including COVID. So in addition to cardiovascular benefits, there's also an immune benefit there as well. Next, after we exercise, we might want to sleep, right? So getting enough sleep is also very important. So the magic number is 8 hours, and that's especially true for women. I do a lot of work in women's health in my chiropractic practice, so I'm going to give you a little bit tidbits for the women in the audience today. It helps with the perimenopausal changes, getting enough sleep. So 8 hours is that magic number. Uninterrupted sleep is important for your brain and hormonal health, as well as healing. Your body heals while you sleep. So if you're not getting enough sleep, you're not optimizing your healing potential. Lack of sleep has also been shown to cause loss of cognitive function, because your brain needs glucose and protein, and it will get it somewhere, and it might use your own brain to do that. Next, there's dietary considerations that go along with being healthy. So the first basic one would be water, making sure you're getting enough water. Half your body weight in ounces of water is the magic number, and everyone always says, that's a lot of water, but that's how much you need. You also want to limit your caffeine intake to 1 to 2 servings a day. That'd be 1 to 2 servings of an 8-ounce serving. So 16 ounces would kind of be where you want to top that off. And you want to avoid sugary drinks. So avoiding your sodas, lots of water. And when you do that, you tend to want less of the caffeine and other drinks. And reducing your caffeine will also help reduce spikes in your cortisol and blood sugar, and will actually help you sleep better. Vegetables are extremely important in your diet. Obviously, you need other things too, but as Americans, we kind of shy away from veggies. Everyone says, well, I really like fruit. We always say fruits and veggies. Well, fruits are a lot easier for people to eat, but vegetables are very, very important. So you want to strive for 5 servings a day, and 3 of those servings should be non-starchy. So starchy vegetables would be like your tubers, your potatoes, beets, that kind of thing. So you want to get at least 3 servings that aren't that are more like your leafy greens, your carrots, and cruciferous vegetables and all of those things. And your vegetables give you vitamins, minerals, and they help your digestive and nervous system health. And then there's some things that you might not be able to get from your diet that you might need to supplement. So the first of those would be essential fatty acids. So essential means that your body doesn't make it, so you have to go out and get it from your food or a supplement. And omega-3 fatty acids are the key there. Omega-3 fatty acids are found in most highly in fish oils. So you'd want to find a fish oil that's like a cod liver oil or something made from mackerel, sardines, or anchovies to get your omega-3 fatty acids, which are essential for brain health, heart health, and they also help your eyes. They're also anti-inflammatory, so if you're dealing with things like arthritis or joint aches and pains, making sure you're getting your omega-3s is important. A probiotic or digestive enzyme can also be helpful because it helps promote healthy gut microflora and aids in the digestion of proteins. So that could be proteins from meat, proteins in your milk, proteins in wheat like gluten. And as women age, we actually start to lose the enzymes for digesting red meat. So if you've ever noticed, you have kind of a gut ache after you have a steak or something, you might need some proteins that are dedicated to digesting the protein found in meat. You also might benefit from a more vegetarian style diet. And finally, vitamin D3. So vitamin D3 can be tested with a blood test, and I suggest everyone do that. Living in Wisconsin, we tend to be vitamin D3 efficient. The only people I've seen in my practice there's only one who doesn't test for vitamin D, and he's a landscaper and he's outside all the time. So I would encourage you to get that tested. The ideal range would be 50 to 80 nanograms per milliliter, and the unit might not be important, but there'll be a bar and you'll have a range. And some health systems in the area, the range goes from like 20 to 50. And if you're 50, they're going to say you're good. You're not. You need more than that. So 50 to 80 is the ideal range. And that is because vitamin D is used in every single body system that your body has. So you use a lot of it. And if you're in that ideal range, you would want to take 40 IUs per pound of body weight in order to maintain that level. And if you don't have the ideal range, you obviously need more than that. And you'd want to test, if you're deficient, you get on a vitamin D regimen, and then maybe in 6 months later, you want to test again. So every year, you kind of want to test your vitamin D and see where you're at. So now that I've given you some health tips, I want to help you with an idea of goals, setting goals. Maybe for Let's Move May, you have a goal of, okay, I'm going to try to eat 5 servings of vegetables, or I'm going to try to sleep 8 hours a night. So how might we best be able to achieve that? The easiest thing you can do is write your goal down, and write it down on a piece of paper so that you can look at it, remind yourself. You might even want to write it down and give it to somebody so that you're sharing that goal with someone, or tell people about it. And when you tell people about it, people might ask you about it, and then you might have a little more of self-accountability. Also, if you have someone that you trust and you feel comfortable sharing with, they can check in with you. How's that goal going? And kind of hold you accountable there. There are times when we find ourselves setting goals and then we don't follow them, and maybe we haven't shared them, or maybe we haven't made them clear in our minds. But there might be times when, you're really suffering a loss, or you're having a hardship, and you feel like, oh, I just can't do that. And in those times, you just really need to give yourself grace and realize it's not going to happen right now, but doesn't mean you're not capable of achieving that goal at some time. And you just set it aside and come back to it. sometimes we're very busy and we don't make time for ourselves. So you may need to unburden yourself, step back from some responsibilities or commitments so that you have time to spend on you. And hopefully this month you're able to do that. Other times we can just feel really comfortable with feeling bad. And that can be kind of a hard thing too. Sometimes that might look like you're on a diet or you're eating very well, and then you'll go out for ice cream, and then you're like, well, I'm used to the way I felt when I was eating ice cream. It's not like you really feel better. You just know that, well, that's how I generally feel, and that's a comfortable state of being for you. So it's easy to go back there. So there are things happening where, maybe you feel anxious or whatever, you tend to go toward food. There are some herbs that can be helpful in fighting sugar cravings that might help you stay on track. There can be grounding techniques, if you're trying to give up smoking. A lot of times there's an oral component to that, so you might turn to sugars or something. And sometimes if you look up grounding techniques, there's can be some things to kind of divert your mind or to stimulate that mouth so that you're not turning toward those things that might be bad habits. And then sometimes deep in your unconscious mind, you just have a feeling that this is the way you're supposed to be. And I just want to encourage you to know that you are worth it. Everyone has that worth where they deserve to be healthy and they deserve to feel good. And I just want to turn to Paul again and try to reiterate that. So this is Paul 13 we hear a lot at weddings, but it's, I think, important always. Love is patient, love is kind, love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. Just remember, God's love is enduring. It never ends. So with that, welcome to Let's Move May. When you leave today, enter a St. Bart's mission field, knowing that you are loved. Go and love your neighbor, love yourself with the confidence of God's love.